Alright guys, so we're finally moving on to the final stage of this project. A lot of you guys did some really cool drawings. I'm really excited to see what you guys have right now. The only thing is that a lot of us have just done it in pencil, and we don't have something called contrast. Today's vocabulary word is going to be contrast. That is the difference between opposites, light and dark, rough and smooth, so on and so forth. So contrast, we're going to have to add it onto this project. So I noticed that a lot of pencil marks are there that are not visible. So those are lighter areas, and we have to now shade them in with darker areas to make things pop out. That's the whole point of contrast. So right now I'm going to be filling in some of these basic shapes that are still done in pencil with marker, just a rough outline. I always use black just because it allows the colors to pop. And in this case, I am focusing on areas that I know are going to need to stand out when you look at the picture. So not every single part of this picture is going to be shaded in with black, but I am going to try and fill in as much as I can to make this look good. So here we have the hair. And obviously you guys can use color. I mean, you don't have to necessarily use black all the time, but it's a good way of making things pop. Once we add the color, you'll begin to see what I'm talking about. So here's the hair shaded in, color in the eyebrows, even the mouth. I can't really see what's going on inside the mouth. But if I do this, now I know he's smiling and laughing. So one little touch of contrast will go a long way. The difference between black and whites. So here we have some good contrast, and now I want to start adding my color. Now this is very important that you understand. Color is a big deal for this project. You don't have to color every single thing in, but you want to color in your characters, you want to color in your catchy slogan, which is also on the bottom, and you want to color in any extra pieces that you have just kind of floating around in the background to make it look good. So I'm thinking about first just adding some basic color. Let me tell you something about this colored pencil. If for whatever reason we can't use colored pencils for this project, we will be omitting this from the project. What do I mean by that? That means that if you don't know how to utilize my materials, you won't get to use them. So I'm expecting everyone to return these back the way they are. Otherwise, we won't be able to use them in the future. So something that I noticed is that some people really have some hard time putting things back the way they belong. So I'm thinking about shading this in. I always go in one direction to make it look good. I even sometimes outline the edges to make it look more graphic. Again, adding contrast, the difference between lights and darks. See that contrast? Light on the inside, hard on the edges. This actually makes the art look way better. And you'll get a better grade for it. At the end of the day, don't go too hard. You might poke a hole through your paper, especially the newsprint. It's very light. Again, you can choose to use the good construction paper if you finish and you decide to use the good paper. So here's my shirt. Okay, moving on. Maybe I want to make this a long sleeve shirt. I don't know yet. Shade that in. And if you want to make skin tone colors, let me explain what you have to do for skin tone colors. You might want to use some yellow and red. Yellow and red, and a mixture of both will give you a nice skin tone color. Now you can add some more colors on top. It's totally up to you. But a lot of the times they give you a nice fleshy tone. And you guys can totally go ahead and experiment with those colors by overlapping. Maybe I want to add in some orange So overlapping will give you some nice fleshy skin tones. If you feel like you're going too dark, you guys can just apply less pressure on the pencil, in this case the colored pencil, and you should be good. Okay, you can always go any direction you want. Okay, you can even add some brown in there. Give it a nice even tone. Okay, and now we have some color onto our project, and you guys can really go with a lot of interesting colors. The only thing you really need to focus on in this case would be your characters, your catchy slogans, and the extra stuff that you have in the background. So you want to give this character life. Don't worry about the spaces in between. Those are called negative space, but you don't have to worry about that. Right now, focus on adding color. So you're going to add highlights, which are the lighter areas, highlights, and shadow, which is the darker areas, and both shadow and highlights, they're both going to make your artwork come together to form good contrast.